Shall I start the class? I don't know, are you able to hear me or not? I don't see any response from anybody. Can I start the class? Shirisha, Raghu, Anjaya, any one of you, can you please respond so that I'll know that you are there listening to me? So, okay, yes, I got some response at least from Sirisha. So, I shall start the class, and the topic for today's lesson is about the areas of research. I'm hoping you are able to see my screen. I shared my screen. Um, so, in the areas of research, today we are going to talk more about what are the various types of research. You know, why is research conducted, and how any problem if you please stop me anywhere because I can't see the Zoom platform because my entire screen is with this presentation only. So if you have any problem anywhere, you can just let me know. Okay. So as part of this unit, if you go to your syllabus, you will be able to you will be able to see the study about the definitions and various elements. Now we yeah in the previous class we discussed about various elements of research. I'm just looking for that unit where you have this topic located. Uh, yes, just a second. Yeah. So in this unit, we will be studying about different types of research on main mass media platforms. With regards to the aligned disciplines of communications, mass media research plays a very key role. Now, given the nature of the print media, you have print media again into two categories. One is newspaper, the other one is magazine. All that comes into the category of a printing or called as a print media. Now, newspapers and magazine come under that. Now, researchers conducted studies, on how a newspaper is received by the people. Now, when you talk about research and specifically mass media research, under that again you are talking about print media. Now, in this unit that is there in your syllabus, is about how newspaper or print media research is conducted. Let us look into that step by step. So as you can see the slide, there are four methods, that are followed in terms of conducting the research related to the print media. One is you do a readership survey, or you do a readership research, and then you do a circulation research, typographic and makeup research, and also a reliability research. Means under these topics you can do a research related to print media. Most of the research fall into this first category, that is the readership, and also circulation. Circulation studies rank second but are far less numerous, and also relatively few studies fall into the other two categories like typography or makeup or readability. Now, readability, I know you all are aware of this concept. What is readability and why is it important? How far, when you look into a paper, it is good for you to read, and how far you are able to grasp the content that's been given by them. There are certain formula There's a certain formula that tells how far readability is working with the papers and organization. So all that comes into the category. So you will not have much scope to do a research either on a typography or makeup or a readability of a newspaper. So majority of the researches are associated with readership, I would say. Circulation also, you will have it yearly once, or every 6 months, once in every 6 months. But whereas readership means people, what they are reading, why they are reading, how they are reading, what is that they are gaining after reading it. All these things come into the readership service. So campaign assessment research builds on a copy and media research, but its research strategies are generally different from the used in one or the other area. Now we have something like public relations. Research has a lot of importance, including the environment monitoring programs. Now, public relations is nowadays called as a corporate communications. Now, whatever is the company trying to inform the people, whatever is the company trying to tell the people about their new policies or their annual income or anything, all this comes into the category of a public relations related to that, whatever stories you see in the newspaper. Now, when we talk about communication audit or social audit or evaluation research, and also you have an environmental monitoring programs, all this can be categorized into the campaign assessment research, okay, which is built on a copy and media research. Means how they are being reported in the media and how is that being received by the people. I hope I'm clear with the introduction of this topic. So let us look at something called like media analysis. What is media analysis? When we talk about media analysis, mass media is useful source for any kind of information, and also current information as well as the historical information, events, and also most of the time what you find is the public opinion and the people attitudes towards certain things. All that we find in mass media. Now, analyzing mass media is a functioning of a media institutions. More earlier, it was considered as some media institutions would do, but all the researchers also these days taking it up. But a nature of a ownership, what policy environment within which the media industries operate, about the content and about the audience and their moods of reception. So, what is media analysis? It can be about a functioning of a media institution. How is the Hindu functions? Okay, what are their policies? Who is the owner of the Hindu newspaper? What kind of an employee environment that they have? Okay, and how do these particular industries operating, and what kind of a content they are producing, and who are their audiences, and how do they try to keep their audience under their control? Okay, the content of mass media has been a significant area of research. So, if you talk about mass media research, what you will be mostly talking about that research, it is about the content that comes in the research. Now, this involves content analysis using four broad approaches, which may be qualitative or a quantitative. I don't know whether you were there in the previous class where I was discussing to you about the qualitative and quantitative research, right? So under qualitative and quantitative, you can do both the ways. You can do a content analysis in a four broad approaches. That's what's been. discussed over here in the next slide. Yeah, what are those four broader approaches? One is the formal content analysis, means it is a systematic sample of text is used in the study. Means you have the news reports written in a text form, right? You will use that, and classification system are divided to identify before features of the text, which are then counted, and an emphasis of an objectivity and reliability. This can be limited to analysis of the manifest and also content in quantitative terms, which means uh, in this process what they do is they will take the content or a text that is there in the paper, and then they will count, how many number of articles have been published, what are the different features of the text that's been published, and then identify the objectivity and the reliability of the text that's been published, and also it will check the entire mechanism of the content that's been carried by the paper. So the second category is a thematic analysis, which is actually to unearth and underline the purpose of intentions of the authors of the communication through a detailed analysis of specific area of reportage and the subject. Means team based. Why did they write about Russia and Ukraine war? Why are they constantly reporting about certain stories? What is the intentions of the author behind writing these stories? Why certain specific kind of reporting is done? Okay, all this is a thematic analysis. Now textual analysis is the use of the words and phrases. Now see, English is such a beautiful language. You can convey the message very strongly with soft words as well. Okay, sometimes you will use the words very hard, and then the person gets hurt. Sometimes you tell the same thing in a using in a polite and a very soft word phrases and sentences. So usage of the words in text and in a paragraph within a text are considered as how words and phrases may be used to influence the reader. So the same article might have been written in a different style in another paper, but one paper gets the majority of the readership about that article compared with the other one. The reason, because the choice of the words, the way the sentences have been framed, the way the content has been conveyed. Okay, the inner meaning and its ideological significance also can be analyzed with such kind of studies. So these kind of studies will help us, by audio visual means as well. Okay, you can do this text analysis, or can also be done to audio visual media, like because in a television also you have a script, you have a visual supporting that, where visuals and audio part of a program are nothing but the text, so which can be having certain meanings. It has certain meaning, it has certain significance for its viewers, so that can also be studied. Such analysis is done with the help of the semiology or a semiotics, means the meaning of words, how they mean at different places, and what is the analysis of these signs and other things. So somebody may use that word, but the intention of the word is not what it has been used in which context. Okay, so according to that, it will be decided. The idea is to understand the encoding process, and especially the intention. Encoding process means the how the intention with which they are writing. Okay, what is the intention lie behind the production of a media text? With what purpose am I producing that content, and is it reaching the same way to its audiences? I haven't mentioned one more point over here, which is the audience analysis. Now this is another important thing that needs to be added over here. I don't know, I can fit it over here or not. I'll see, just give me a second. Yeah, audience analysis. This is also another type of research media analysis. Let me just highlight for you so that you will not forget. Yeah, thank you. So, audience analysis. Now, we have four types of content analysis that we just now spoke. Is the formal analysis. The second one is thematic analysis, textual analysis, and audience analysis. I hope you all are able to follow me. If you are not comfortable in switching on your mics and responding, at least you can text me in the chat box. Are you able to follow me? Yes or no? Just a why? Yeah, please, Raghu. You have raised your hand. You have any question, or you would just want to say yes? You are able to follow. Just text me in the chat box. Yes or no? Kindly somebody respond in the chat box so that I'll get to know that you are there with me. Okay. So yeah, moving on to the next segment. So I hope you are very clear with the mass media analysis. Basically, mass media means it's all about the content that you carry to your audiences, irrespective of a print media or an electronic media. What is the content that you are trying to communicate to your audiences? Now, if it is a print media or electronic media, how would you go about in terms of analyzing that content that we will look into now? But basically, with regards to mass media analysis, we discussed specifically about the content because mass media is all about the content that it has. Now, in that content, you have four categories that I just now showed. One is the formal content analysis, the other one is thematic analysis, textual analysis, and the audience analysis. Now, moving on to the different types of print media research. Now, we are going step by step with regards to the, print media studies. Now, under print media studies, I have already just now told you that newspapers and magazines is all about the text. What you write, and it's a basic type of studies. One is associated with the readership, circulation, and studies of typography and makeup, as well as the readability studies. I said. Now, in the readership and circulation are the most widely used research when compared with the typographical makeup or the readability studies. Now, first, let us look one by one. What is this readership research means? Many readership studies were done in the, initially in the United States, okay, immediately after the World War II. Um, yeah, let me change the slide. Yeah. Okay. Uh, Done during the World War II. George Gallup organization was a pioneer. So you need to remember this name. George Gallup is the organization which was pioneered in the development of the methodology of these studies. So how did this readership service in United States have started with this organization, and what did they develop? They developed one kind of a methodology where you can conduct a readership service. So those are called as, with the name of personal interview, in which they had some respondents were like shown on a copy of a newspaper. They have shown a newspaper to them, and they asked them to, identify the articles that are there in the paper, or they would ask them to read them and all that. The readership research became important to, management during, because why? If you know that what your reader is reading from your paper and how many of them are reading, that would help you to build your business, right? So the readership research have become much more important from the time of 1960s to 1970s, as a circulation rate in metropolitan areas began to level off at, or we can call it as a decline. The concern with holding the interest of their readers. So now, as long as your business is good, you would never bother about, many things. But the time when you understand that your what do you call, the minute your business is going down, you would cross check where you are going, what is that which is actually the reason for your business to go down. So similarly in this case also, once they looked after 70s, there was a downfall with regards to the circulation of the newspapers. So what did they do? They had concerned with holding an interest of their readers, editors, and also publishers began more than ever or depend on the service for the detailed audience information they needed to shape the content of a publication. So how exactly it started? It was started with George Gallup organization, where they have pioneered a methodology of going and interviewing people about the readership stories and ask them to read and all that. But later, after 70s, once they saw the downfall of newspapers, then they went into public with some kind of a survey mechanism, where they wanted to know details about the audience information, how, what kind of readers are they have, what are their backgrounds, and also how do they expect them to shape their content for the publication. Am I clear? In today's research, the newspapers have certain important elements. Yeah. Uh, Newspaper readership is concerned primarily of studies of five types. Okay, here I could put you four types. I shall share the another type also orally. The one is the reader's profile. The second one is item selection studies. And third is reader non-reader studies. And the fourth is very important, uses and gratification studies. We do have a theory of uses and gratification as well. And fifth one is, please make a note, editor reader comparisons. Okay. So when you do a readership study, what other things come into the consideration? A newspaper research into newspaper readership is compared primarily under these five categories which are mentioned over here. Now, looking at each of them in detail, yeah, looking at each of them in detail, if you look at a readership, first thing is reader profile. What is a reader profile? It provides you the demographic summary of a reader or a particular publication. Means, suppose I'll make it more simple and understandable for you. Like, suppose if I read Inadu paper, okay, I'm a reader for an Inadu paper, and I live in a place like Hyderabad, and Kukatpalli is the area where I stay. Now, all these are my demographic summary. Okay, what age group I belong to, am I male or a female, or which area I stay in, and all these are my demographic summary. So I get to know in which area. Reader profile means when you get these profiles from your readers, you will understand in which area, which kind of people, and what type of age group is existing who are interested in my paper. There may be significant differences in the nature and the extended newspaper reading among individuals who have the same demographic characteristics. So, probably there may be many people in this colony who are reading Inadu paper, but there will be certain differences in the nature. I think, the nature they think, the extent the newspaper reading they do. I may read a newspaper for 5 minutes. Somebody next to my house could read the newspaper for 1 hour or 2 hours. Some of them will read for 24 hours because they just love reading. So it varies, though their demographic characteristics stand similar, but their nature and the extent of news reading of an individual can vary. This is an important point that needs to be noted. Researchers recently have turned to psychographical, okay, psychographics and lifestyle segmentation studies to construct reader profile. Initially, it was all only based on the demographic characteristics, but slowly they even went into the psychographic and lifestyle segment. Now, why lifestyle segment is important? Suppose, in case there is a family which is, all of them are working, and they all go to their offices by 9 o'clock. So their lifestyle is different from a family who is staying at home and then have a time to read a newspaper in the afternoon or in the evening. But the family who do not have a time to read a newspaper except in the morning, their lifestyle would affect your purchase. Now, I am not getting a time to read a newspaper, so I would not subscribe it. Though I would like to read it, I would not subscribe it. So there is a possibility of me not being not purchasing a paper in spite I wanted to read a newspaper because my lifestyle does not support me. So they have understood that it's just not the area wise, it's also psychographic in lifestyle. Now, uh, psychographic is one term that is new probably to some of you. The reason is because some would like to read only fashion, some would like to read only sports, some would like to read politics, like that. So why are they not reading? So they would not like to read the other kind of a story. So you will know the psychological aspects associated with the reading of a newspaper also. That's what they understood in the next level, which is of course in a recent development that we can say. Both the procedures go beyond the traditional demographic portrait and describe the readers in terms of what they think and how they live. Okay, so it's just not that where they stay, which area people are subscribing my paper, why are they subscribing, and what do they think about my paper is also another important aspect which has come into the limelight. Now, psychographic studies are usually conducted among the readers to know their level of agreement and disagreement with a large number of attitudinal statements. Now, in a paper, let us take, I'm just giving an example. If a paper like Inadu is trying to write a editorial in support of some political party, okay, so then as a person who is not having a good incline towards that political party, I may disagree with the statements that are written in the paper. So, psychographic studies are usually conducted among the readers. Why do they conduct? To know the level of agreement or disagreement. This point is very important for you to remember. Agreement or disagreement with the larger number of attitudinal statements. Because in a paper, you are stating certain content which is acceptable to by some and not by some other. Subsequently, patterns of responses analyzed to see how they correlate or cluster together can be described in a label and summarize the absence of the question. So, like this, a reader's profile, it's just not about demographic summary, but also psychographic analysis and as well lifestyle patterns also can be identified. This is the latest development. I hope I'm clear with your concept on explaining you how reader's profile can be identified with a readership service. Okay, now under the readership service only, you have another category, that is item selected selection study. What is this item selection study means? This is a second type of a readership thing where you select certain news stories used to determine who reads a specific part of a paper. Now, I would like to read always a business section, let us take in a newspaper. So, the readership of a particular item, that is the business, is usually measured by means of the aided recall, or whereas the interviewer shows, okay, a copy of a paper to the respondent and find out which stories the respondent remember. So, they will have, the paper will have which story has come which day. So, they will ask, have you read this story? Yes. Have you read this story? No. Like that, they will tick mark. So, how much reader is able to recall the given story, that tells the impact of the story. When will I recall? When I really like it and it when it goes into my mind. So if your writing is such that it goes into my mind, that means you have written well. So that is the judgment basis whether the reader is able to recall or not. If I take that content in my mind only, I will be able to tell you that there is a story like this. And just a second. Okay, sorry for the disturbance. Let's resume. Are you able to hear me? So, item selection study is something where the readership of a particular item is measured by means of recall, means how well you are able to recall the story, whereby the interviewer asks you what is the story. Now, there is something very interesting in this slide. You can see that is the reader and non reader studies. Now we need to have a little more discussion about what is a reader and a non-reader study. This is the third type of readership service, where you call it as a type of a study can be conducted via personal telephone or a mail interviews or a minor modifications, but establishing an operational definition for more for the term non-reader. Now what is this non-reader? Now when you ask a readers, do you read this newspaper or do you generally read a paper? Some of them say yes, some of them say no. Now, the one who says no is the non reader, okay, and the one who says yes is your reader. So, now what is that you get from a reader? We know all these item selection kind of a study, and then you can look into the other aspects. But non readership service means have you read a newspaper yesterday or not? It's a kind of a rational thing that you will generally ask. But the this type of question, which gives you a choice to know why a particular person is not reading your newspaper. Why do they don't prefer your paper? Okay. The form of a question has an impact on how many people are classified as non-readers, and then the larger percentage of non-readers generally occurs when researchers ask, have you read a newspaper today or yesterday? And the small number of obvious can be required by never response or a multiple question. Now, by knowing how many of them are not reading your paper and what are the reasons why they are not reading your paper, you could make them, make your management know the requirements of the people who are not reading your paper, so that if possible, you could implement them in your near future. Now, next one is about the users and gratification study. This is something which is very important for us to know, and it's a fourth type of a readership survey that uses users and gratification study. As you know, the term users means the people who are reading, and gratifications, what they are gaining from it, is all media content. In the newspaper era, it is used to determine the motives that lead newspaper reading, the personal and the psychological rewards that result from it. The methodology of the uses and gratification study is straightforward. Respondents are given a list of possible uses and gratifications and are asked whether any of these are the motives behind their reading. Means what they see is uses means how are you using, and gratifications what are you taking with you. To know that, you will ask certain questions, because of which you will get to know how far the readers, whether any of these are motives behind their reading. To find out what is the motivation, the reason behind them reading, you will ask certain questions, like a reader might be presented with following items, like here is a list of some things people have said about and why they read the newspaper. So some question like this, as you can see here on the slide. How much do you agree or disagree with each statement? Now, I read the newspaper because it is entertaining. I read the newspaper because I want to kill my time. I read the newspaper to keep up at date with what's going on around me. And also, I read the newspaper to relax and relieve tensions. So, you give these four options, okay? You can also even add some more options, like people are saying about things and are important to me. So whichever the audience is picking up, you tell that as is the gratification. Some people will say, I'll just read newspaper to kill my time. Now what they are doing, they're just doing spending, they wanted to kill their time, so they read the paper. So what are they gaining from it? Just a time pass, that's all. The responses are summed up, and an average score for all of these motives items is calculated, and then later on. Now suppose uh, out of 10 people whom you have given this questionnaire, eight of them say that we read newspaper to kill our time. That means it's just to do their time pass, they're reading newspaper, but they don't really gain anything from the newspaper. You can conclude it, because the calculations, as I said, you get a majority of the people saying the same statement. That means it is what they feel about it. So you could definitely conclude it according to that. Now the last one is the editor reader comparison. What is this editor and reader comparison? In the final area of the newspaper reader, editor reader comparison, a group of editors is questioned about the certain topics. One, see, when you are doing a newspaper research, there are two ways that you look at. One is from the point of view of the reader who is consuming the content, who is taking the content that you are writing. The other side is the editor reader comparison, means the other side you will ask, even you can even do a survey of the editors and the reporters who provide the content, who are the creators of the content. Okay, group of the editor is questioned about a certain topic and their answers are compared to those of the readers. Now whatever answers you get from the editor, suppose the editor says, I have written this story to give awareness to people about what kind of problems are existing with regards to, let us say, education system in India. Now when you say these are the problems in the point of view of the editor about the education system, then you will also ask the survey or the readership survey from the point of view of the audience also. Then what you do is you do a comparison of these two things, okay, of the readers and with the editors, to see whether there is any correspondence between the two groups. Do the editors also feel the same, readers also feel the same way, the way editor thought about it? If there is a correlation or a correspondence, you would say that the success rate is better, that the people are receiving the way the writer wanted it to be received. Now as a teacher, I wanted you to understand the concepts in certain angle and a way. If I get that from you people, I would be more satisfied, and I think I will be successful in terms of delivering my content to you according to the wish I wanted. But if just in case I don't get that from your end, obviously it becomes like, I am not so successful. So the study concludes that. Similarly, editor reader comparison is another important thing. Yeah. So apart from this, there are few more things that I just thought I'll quickly give a kind of a overview for you. That is something about the circulation studies. Circulation studies are those studies. I'll just go back to the slide where we have these four names mentioned. Yeah. Any questions? You can stop me any point of time and ask. I don't know how many of you are able to follow me because there's no response.
Ma'am, can you share all the screens? I mean, all the slides? Madam, can I take a screenshot on it, madam?
Okay, you wanted to take a screenshot of these slides.
After the class, madam. After they finish the class, and please share everyone.
Yes, yes. Sure, sure. Are you able to follow me?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. So, circulation studies. Now, what is a circulation study? As I said, it's applied in the two different forms of a newspaper or a magazine. Okay. Whatever I'm talking right now is about the print media. So, you please understand in the context of a newspapers. One form attempts to measure the circulation in terms of the overall characteristics of a particular market. Means how
Ma'am,
much,
sorry,
yeah.
ma'am. Actually, I'm asking about just slides, madam. No need to explanation. I can understand. So,
Okay, no, I'm not talking, explaining with regards to the your question. It's a
okay,
second process in the
okay,
readership service.
okay, okay.
Second level. So we finished just now the readership study. Under that we have studied reader profile and other things. No, now we are now looking at the circulation studies, how
Okay,
circulation
ma'am.
studies are conducted. So there are two categories there with the newspapers also. One form is where you see overall characteristics of particular market, like for example, households given market, like all the households, means the women who stay at home, are they subscribing my paper or not? Okay, reached by a particular newspaper or a circulation pattern. How many of your women subscribe Women Era magazine? How many of your women in a specific geographic area, let us take from Banjara Hills or a Jubilee Hills, okay, certain demographic area, are they subscribing the Women Era or any women oriented magazines like that? Other type of circulation research are individual research, unit of analysis of a measurement of an effect of a certain aspect of a delivery. Means they don't belong to certain area or a certain type of a category of a people, like a women or a households or anything, but they are general readers, but they subscribe whichever is of their interest. Okay, magazine publications often conduct this type of circulation service, drawing sample of subscribers in a different states to check on a delivery dates and other publications as well. Next is the readability studies. Now, as you can see, Um,
కటింగ్ చేయించుకొచ్చుకుందా అందులో 100
can you please mute yourself?
పద్ధతిగా చేయించు
Somebody in the student
అన్ని స్టైల్స్ కి పనికిరాదు.
Galaxy Tab A7 Lite. Can you please mute yourself? Yeah. Okay. Now, coming to the next type of thing that we need to study is the electronic media study. Okay, I haven't put them in the slides over here, but I would just like to orally speak about this one, because electronic media is the one audio visual medium, right? And I hope you all are aware of something called, like, I'll just share my screen. Give me a second. Mm. Yeah. Just let me know, are you able to see me or not? I'm sharing my screen. Whiteboard. Yeah. So this is a topic on electronic media or audio visual media research. How is the electronic media research on audio visual medium it is done? Now let us look at electronic media research studies. They are basically fall into two categories. One is the rating and non-rating research. What is that? What are the two categories that they are called as? Is the one is the rating, the other one is non-rating. I hope you are able to see my screen, what I'm typing on the screen. Yes or no? Anyone can please confirm me that. It will be good if you confirm that. The two companies conduct a bulk of electronic media ratings in the United States. That is AC Nielsen. I hope you must have heard of this name, Nielsen. Conduct a local market and network TV and also cable TV, local market radio ratings and all that. And there are many types of non-rating research are generally done by electronic media people itself. Okay, means suppose I own a channel and I have certain programs, I wanted to know who's watching what and who likes it, who don't like it. So all those things, this type of research provides information about what the audience like and what the audience do not like about it. The first one is about the rating market. Okay, conduct for a local market ratio. Okay, I'll just put that. For this one I will put here. Sorry. Yeah, conduct the local market ratings. So how is the market? How many of people are watching so and so channel? How many of them are not watching and all that? So this that is the first category. When you talk about non-rating, um, this is about the different. Yeah, let me just. This is about the different types of research provided information about what the audience like and what they dislike. What the audience like and what they dislike. Now, I like certain programs on television to watch. I won't like certain programs. Why I like them? Why I don't like them? You want to know? Then you do a non-rating research. Okay, these are different types of programmings and also demographic lifestyle information about the audience. Obviously, when you are asking me about why I don't like that program, prior to that you will also ask me some other questions like what are my profession, which profession I belong to, what are my choices, and all that. Okay. So some of the procedures include, like when you are trying to do a non rating research related with mass media, there are certain things that you have to include. One is, I'll just put them over here. I'm moving the slide so that the remaining part of it you can see. Yeah. First one is program testing, means research or a program idea, rough cuts, or a final production. So what is that you want to first test from your audience? Do they really remember your program? How many of them actually know that there's some program like this is there? There's so many programs and there's so many TV channels existing right now for us to watch. So I won't watch all the programs, but if I'm watching some program, means there must be some reason, and if it is gone into my mind, means definitely that program has some kind of existence and importance. Research or program idea itself, rough cuts and the final productions. Next is commercial testing. So this is the other point, that is about the testing advertisement messages appear on the radio and TV and the cable. Now majority of us skip advertisements. We don't like watching advertisements, but still there are some advertisements that are designed so nice that we would definitely like to watch them whenever they come. Whether you buy the product or not is a secondary thing, but there are certain advertisements which grab our attention. So testing to what extent the audience are really, because see, for you and me it's just an advertisement, but for the media owner who is running a channel, advertisement is everything for him, because the revenue mostly comes from the advertisement. So they would definitely like their advertisers to be gaining the importance and the market so that they can survive. So for their survival purpose, they should fit in the best of the advertisements and the best of the programs so that the advertisers get benefited out of it. In return, they also get benefited. Okay. And the next one is the music research. So this is another element. Obtain a listener opinions about a music that the radio station or a TV channel might play. So some of the opinions, gathering opinions on people on various things. Some like certain, tunes, certain music, certain things, and all that. Program cue and introduction, indication of a popularity of a various performers and the entertainers. This is another one that you would like to know in a non. Remember, all of these things are coming under the non rating program research. Okay, non rating research. And then you will have certain programmers or the anchors or the show hosters become more popular than the shows. So in those indications, what are those indications of a popularity of a particular performer or an entertainer? Why locally there are popular anchors like Suma and all of them? What is that which makes them more popular compared with the other hosts? Trying to know something on those things. Focus groups are used for all types of preliminary or a final research. You know the importance of a focus group. Focus group itself means like you're specially focusing on set of a people whom you wanted, specifically to know from their opinion, that this is very very important points that you can gather about the focus group and other things. Special focus will be there on that set of people who will give you a better knowledge or understanding of the concepts that you are looking for. I hope I am clear with you about the electronic media research. Anybody wants to take a screenshot of this, you can take it now, since some of you have asked me right just before this. It's about electronic media research. Now we finished print media research. Now we are finishing electronic media research. It's of two types: rating research and non-rating research. And when you talk about rating research, it's all about the market, how many people view which channel, what time, what are the ratings of the channel. That is just purely statistical based that you look at. When you look at non-rating research, you have mostly concentrated on audience likes and dislikes, and specifically looking at the programs that they remember, register in their mind, commercials that they pay attention to, music that they like, and the performers whom they would like to see again and again on the screens to entertain them. And you specifically also can conduct something like a focus group research on such kind of people to know the market. Okay. um, So most of the market studies are, focusing on the investigation of the perceptions of a entire market, usually between a specific age group of people, that is from 25 years to 54 years of people. Okay. So format studies are research with respondents who listen to or prefer a certain type of a music, or radio, and find an availability of a radio program in the market, or program element important identifies elements of the radio or a television that are most important for a specific audience. Like this, you have various categories that you look into the non rating programs. Sales research is considered a value added approach by a station where the station sponsors research for local clients. Okay. The results are usually used to prepare an advertising proposal for the client or a clients. Now, as I told you, I'll just put this on the slide so that you will get to look at. I'm just moving this. I hope that's fine for you all. I'll take another uh, place where I can put this. Yeah. So, as you can see, sales research. This is something very important. You can make a note of this. Very important, as in very important point. I'll just highlight it also. Sales research. It is a value-added approach to any radio station or a television station. Why? Because the station sponsors research for local clients. Now, my target group is the area of Kukatpalli. So, I want to know the choices of all the people who live in Kukatpalli, what they like, what they dislike, what are the problems, what are the leaders or political leaders who are popular here in this locality, so that I will get this profile. I can make a better advertising proposal for this particular area people to catch. So when a client comes to me, I would use this, as a research data, which helps him in terms of doing a better advertisement, or an advertisement that attracts the audiences in a better way. So this is another non-rating research mechanism that you can look. And of course, you all know very well about the TAM media research, that is the ratings research. This is again, as I told you, sorry, yeah. This is again, as I already told you, that it's about the proper rating about the channels and other things, ventures of company, especially with Nielsen and company. They usually do this, and they'll find out about the studies. Now, this is the various studies associated with the uh, ratings of television and the newspapers. Now, coming to the advertising sector, how do? They usually do something called like a advertising pre-testing. Okay. So advertisements usually, none of us would like to watch, but still they have to survive. They need somebody to watch their advertisement, get knowledge about it, and they come, they buy all this. So they do a pre-survey and a post-survey to know the effect of the advertisement that's been carried. Similarly, even for the public relation campaigns also, it could be on a health campaign as well. But if you are doing a PR campaign for your company, then you can do a pre survey and also the post survey to see an impact of some kind of a campaign that's been conducted. And ad tracking also is a post testing of effectiveness of a tracking in the market research, where minorities or a brand performance include the brand advertising awareness and other things. So you do a kind of a pre before you launch an advertisement. You do what they know about that particular product. After you launch an advertisement and see a couple of days, and then you try to again take the ad tracking thing, then you would definitely know the level of understanding about the product to the people, and then you would try to improvise where you are lacking, or various other things. So the two key terms in media research are reach and frequency. Okay, there are two key terms in media research. What are they? reach and frequency. I'll just highlight for you so that you will register the point in your mind. Yeah, reach and frequency. What does this reach means? It is a total number of households that will expose to a message in a particular medium at least once over a certain period of a time, usually a 4 weeks or a 1 month. Now, in a period of a 1 month, in a local in an area like Ukutpally, how many times? Okay, how many total number of households exposed to a message to a particular message? At least once are they going to be exposed to the message that I'm giving? Because see, television and radio are the things that they just keep going at one point of time you have one show running and another point of time another show running. Now if you are an advertiser advertising for all the shows, it will be like a too much for you to advertise money, put your money, right? But what happens, you pick up one best program like evening prime time or a popular news bulletin or something, you pick up and you place your advertisement there. Now you check for over a period of a 1 month, what time at least a household is able to watch my advertisement once in the 4 weeks. Like that, that's called as a reach. Reach can be thought of as an a cumulative audience and is usually expressed as a percentage of a total universe of household that have been exposed. So, how many of them, if 25 of a possible 100 households are exposed to a message, a reach is 25%. So out of 100 people in my area, we were 100 families, at least 25 people are able to see. That means the percentage is 25. Now the frequency is the other category where refers to the exposure of the same message that each household receives. Means how many times, at least once is a reach, how many times thereafter they have reached. That's what frequency refers to, the number of exposures, the frequency with which I watch a television program daily, means that is the frequency that you are talking about. The frequency means about the number of exposures in a period of 1 month. If they are at least once they are able to what do you say, able to see your message, means that is the reach. If, but in a given a period of time, how many times they have seen is considered as a frequency. Of course not every household in the same way will receive the exactly the same number of messages. Now I may see a advertisement only once, somebody may see even 20 times the same message, somebody may not even see. So consequently, the advertisers prefer to use an average frequency where the message was exposed to them and expressed in a formal way. So there are certain formulas and things like that which help you in this category. Again, media research falls into three basic categories, where the studies of the size and comparison of an audience on a particular medium of a media, or a study of a relative efficiency of an advertising exposure provided to an various combined combinations of media, means reach and frequency studies. Some will do only reach studies, means how at least how many times in a month they are able to see my advertisement. Next is how many times they are frequently able to see my advertisement. Of advertising activities of the competitors, they'll also have a look at the competitors, how are they doing it. Now when you talk about public research, other areas, public relations and other areas, it's always, newspapers and magazines research always conduct different types of research, which include the readership surveys, circulation surveys, and also, as I just now told you, typographic makeup and many things, readability and many other aspects also will be studied. Despite of so many limitations, media research, media content analysis, media readership surveys, media rating surveys always are important, because there is a concept of a revenue involved in it, and that revenue is the source for the media organizations and also for the advertisers. Mass media is very popular and people would definitely like to see their advertisements getting advertised in a mass media, so there is always a platform for that. So, you as a media content generator, how would you like to attract your audience to a specific program? With regards, you will get a better understanding if you do a proper research surveys. Either it's a survey or it can be a focus group discussion, anything of those things. Am I clear? Is this clear to all of you? Any questions? Kindly ask. No, if you don't have any questions, I'll proceed further because we have another 15 minutes more. I will just quickly review what I've taught you in the previous class. Some of the topics that I've spoke to you in the previous class, which I think I will just brush up on them. Right. I hope you are able to see my screen. Um, so this is something which we discussed in the previous class. I was just quickly, because then also it was like almost time. I was about to conclude my class, and then I started with the research methods. So I thought I will allot another 15 minutes of time in today's class also to talk to you about various types of media research. Yeah. Now, when we talk about media research, the first thing that you should understand is that quantitative and qualitative. All types of research are categorized into these two. One is the quantitative, or which is called as a mathematical method or a social research, based on a rigorous and sophisticated techniques of analysis. Means most of the statistics you will have here. You will have most of maths involved in it. Means you will in a mathematics how it is 2 into 2 means 4. Definitely 4 anytime, anywhere. So it's like fixed, like if you do this you would definitely get this kind of an outcome. So quantitative research means you have a quantity as an important element, whereas qualitative means you have a quality as an important method. Okay. um, All right. Now, quantitative research is flexible, and it is a questioning approach. Means it's based on a questionnaire, and you would like to see how many number of people are participating in your research, and how many of them would like to, responded to your questionnaire. What are the statistics associated with it? What are the questions they've been asked, and standardized questions that you have asked to the respondents, and what are the responses that you are getting from them? How did you design your questionnaire, and how much you measure reliability, validity, and all those concepts we discussed in the previous class. The quantitative data collection methods also they are there. You could go for a random sampling, or you can go for a stratified snowball technique, or whatever you wanted to. These methods produce a result that are easy to summarize and compare and generalize. Why anybody goes for a quantitative research is because you can easily, by looking at the figures and the numbers, you can easily summarize them. You can also compare them. Suppose if somebody says yes to and a question, do you watch television daily? There are people who said 90% of them say yes, and 10% of them say no. Now you can compare in that, if that yes, how many male are there, how many female are there. This segregation is easy and convenient. And you can also generalize them. The concept of generalization is because how many people you can apply it to. It's just not going to end with the set of the people whom you have interviewed. It's even about the people who are across the globe, whom you can generalize it to, if your study is really done in a very proper structured manner. Now, qualitative method is where you have a quality of the content that is gathered. Okay, whether it's a qualitative or a quantitative research, researcher may collect a primary or a secondary data also. We discussed about what is primary and what is the secondary as well. The primary data is specific to which you can collect them either with your own personal interviews or the questionnaire. Whereas the secondary data is already which is existing, like in the form of a newspapers or a census data, or any content on a website that's available, written, developed by somebody else. All that including to the secondary data. So this mixing of both quantitative and qualitative is called as a mixed method research. That is a research that includes the both qualitative and also quantitative elements, using both primary and also secondary method. That becomes very common these days, and most of them follow that only these days to give a balance in the study also. Okay. Now, in the previous class we discussed what is an experiment research, right? Now we will just look at the advantages and disadvantages of it. Where, as you know, experiment research can be grouped into two or broad categories. You may have a true experiment design, or you may have a quasi experimental design, or you have both designs required based on the manipulations that you do to the subject. Now, when you talk about an advantage of an experiment research, you have evidence of causality, means it will establish a cause and effect relationship. Because of this is happening, because they are watching television for 24 hours every day, at least 6 to 7 hours. This kind of a program they are watching, this is the effect. The experiment is undoubtedly the best social sciences research method of experimenting, establishing causality, means because of this reason these are happening. The research controls the time order of the presentation of two variables means independent and the dependent variable, thus makes sure that the cause uh, actually precedes the effect. Okay. Now the control, next one is the control thing. Now, what is a control? Control is an added advantage to the this experimental method, where researchers has the control over the environment and the variables and the subject. That's why experiment research is very much what do you say, favorite type of a research for a researcher, because he has a control over everything, whatever they are doing. But when you look at the cost of an experiment also is comparatively less when you talk about the other types of research methods. Suppose an advertising researcher can examine the impact of a two different designs using an experimental design with few subjects only. I take a 20 here, 20 there. I will show one advertisement to some people. I will show another advertisement, and I'll gather the content, and then an analyze with a less number of people. I can quickly finish it off because I'm doing in an environment which is created by me, and I wanted the complete control of the uh, people and the variables that I'm testing upon. Replication means the experimental method permits replication. Typically, the conditions of the study are clearly spelled out in the description of an experiment, which makes it easier for the others to replicate. So they will tell how is this being done. A program of a program on related to violence against women or violence on children has been constantly shown for these many number of period of. So the previous research people would definitely give in their research studies and papers what is the method, what is that they have followed. So they would definitely I see some text. Okay, there is a time up. All right, I think it's 11:30, I thought, so that's why I have continued anyhow. um, all right, fine. So these are the few things that you can keep. All right, sir, I will be closing it. Yeah. So these are the certain advantages and disadvantages, as you can see mentioned over here: cost, replication, multiplication, and also here survey advantages and disadvantages have been mentioned. As somebody asked me, can you share this? Yes, definitely, I will share this to you when we meet in the to the course coordinators. They will share the PPTs to all of you what all have been taught to me. But anyhow, all this I've picked up from the material that's been provided to you. If you go through your material, I think that would be sufficient. Thank you very much. I hope if there is anybody who want to ask a question, you can, or otherwise I shall close the session. Thank you all.